Hello once again everybody at Vintage Iron Range Dirt Track Racing. Today I am in Hill City with Wally Fox. Wally, nice to see you again.
Nice to still be here in my age.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I am doing real well. I had a little episode 4 months ago, but I am coming back real good and doing real good.
Yeah, I hear you had some health issues, but
Yes,
things are on the mend for you.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
On the mend, very good.
Well, you're looking good, by the way.
Thank you.
How and why did you get interested in dirt track racing?
My father and my older brother decided they were going to have a race car. This is back when they were running the old flatheads. In fact, the first car was a 37 Ford. The next one was a 49 Ford. And my uncle, little George Fox, drove the car. Any older people out there that remember way back when, that will probably ring a bell. So I was around it from the time, I was just a little squirt at that time, 5, 6.
And you took an interest because your family was racing.
Yes, and I had just
fell in love with it?
Really enjoyed it. I fell in love with it. From the time I can remember, I like going fast. Mm-hmm. I like competition.
So it was right up your alley.
Yes, it was.
Okay. Do you remember any of the racers from back then when you were young watching?
Before I started watching it?
Or before you started racing yourself?
Well, one that really impressed me was K7 and K11, Donnie Coivisto, and I don't remember the other guy's name from Keewatin.
Okay.
Donnie Coivisto was a super good driver. There was Big George Koski, who was a good driver. My uncle, little George Fox. There was Wrongway Mackey, Reno Mackey, who owned Mackey Body Shop at that time. Now his grandson does. They put the body on the car backwards just for a joke.
Oh, geez. I think I seen a picture of that.
That's why they call him Wrongway Mackey. Okay. And then there was Joe Pauly. And for some reason, he couldn't hardly get around track without rolling over. And so they call him Rollin' Joe Pauly.
Okay.
So that's
those are some of the guys. So this Wrongway Mackey, did he actually race that car with the body on backwards?
Oh, yes.
Oh, that must have been really a mind game against the other racers.
Yes, it was.
For the fans, for that matter. It looks like a guy spun out. What made you finally decide to start driving yourself?
It was time. I was a young man full of P&V.
Yeah.
Already was playing with fast cars. Mm-hmm. I was, at the time, just before I started racing, I was helping two friends of mine, Kenny and Keith Hawkinson, with a Model A Roadster. Worked on that a lot and stuff. And that's when we decided we needed to go to circle track. And
how old were you about when you started driving?
I was 19.
Okay.
And
you raced like go-karts and stuff previously before you were racing cars?
Yeah, I did.
Do you remember roughly what year was that when you started racing?
The cars or the go-karts?
The race cars.
I think it was about in 70 or 71.
Okay. How many years did you race for?
Well, all total, I guess I raced I think 9 all total.
Because you did some modern day racing
because
too.
Yes, I went back. My son Cody Fox was racing the Mod 4 and got me kind of interested in that. So I built one of those and had a ball racing against my son.
And you ran Mod 4s when you were like 60 years old?
Yes.
And raced against your boy?
I was 60 years old because I put on my first car when I got it, I put pushing 60 on the front of it.
And you ran supers too for a short period, didn't you?
Pardon?
You ran super stocks for a short period too in your later years?
Yeah.
You bought one
a couple of years before that. I wanted to try it.
But you bought one of Billy Matzdorf's super stocks,
I bought one
right?
from Bill Matzdorf, minus engine and transmission rear, but I didn't realize when I bought it how much already it was costing to run them at that time.
Things changed a lot from when you first started racing.
Tremendously.
Now, when you first started racing, back in the what was it, 60s?
Late 60s,
Late 60s,
early
early
70s.
70s. How many classes did you race?
I raced I started out with a kind of like super stock at that time. It was a V8 car, full-bodied car. Went pretty darn good. And then I raced 2 years late model with a GTO, 65 GTO. And then I raced 1 year with a modified, home-built modified.
Which looked more like a sprint car by today's standards.
Looked more like a sprint car, yes.
What was your first car?
First car was a 55 Chevy. And I was in with that with a couple of buddies of mine at that time. And we, you know, all of us were married. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had a good time with it that year.
Yep.
So.
Now, did you build all your own cars, or
Yeah.
did you buy them? Or?
No, I had never bought any
So you
cars.
built everything?
I built everything. I did, you know, all my roll cage, my own roll cages, everything.
And knowing the type of person you are, you enjoyed building cars.
I enjoyed
just
it.
as much as racing, probably.
I enjoyed it as much as racing. Just like now, I built some straight rods and rat rods, and I enjoy them as much or more building them than I do driving them.
Yeah. Now, and you got into the Pontiacs then after that 55 Chevy.
Right.
Because a couple of your buddies had a Pontiac engine for a street car.
Right. They had a Pontiac engine, 389 built up. You know, nothing wild or nothing, just in good shape. And they were going to put it in that Roadster we was working on, and decided not to. They went to a Hemi and put in it. But so the Pontiac was sitting there. So they said, well, you can find a car, we'll build a circle track car. So I bought a 59 Catalina 2-door sedan and built a car. And
so you had a nice engine waiting for you,
yeah.
Pontiac engine. So that's what sent you down the Pontiac road.
Right.
Okay. Now, did you own all your own cars, or did you race for a car owner? Or
no, I own my cars. My two main sponsors that I had, which was Hoxton Cement Products, they paid for a lot.
So you had a very good sponsor.
I had a very good sponsor,
Okay.
and then Don Larson from Alden Power Pole. Then after Hawkinson's quit sponsoring, Don sponsored me, and it was the same way.
So he stepped up and
Yeah, he stepped up and you know, like when we went up to the Queen's race in Canada and stuff, he paid for everything, hauled it up there, and
But you were the owner of the car.
Yeah.
But so it's nice to have a good sponsor like
right,
that.
it is.
Who were some of the guys that you remember racing against back in the day?
Well, there's Gene Percheski from up on the range. I told you a little while ago, but now Donnie Matzdorf was racing at that time.
Now, one of these guys who did you look up to as being who you felt was the
Ray
best guy?
Hennington.
He was the guy who you thought was the best guy out there,
I thought
fastest.
he was the best driver on four wheels, and you know, for dirt tracking. He raced from up on the range. Was a very quiet person, not a talkative person. But I did talk to him a few times, and he told me one time that when I was pushing him hard, that I was learning, you know, and shortly after that I passed him and won a feature. But he was a super good guy. But Bobby Girardi was Lauren Pagel was another one that was done very good. He ran on Thunderbird all the time.
But Henningsen was the guy you always shot to
Ray
strive to
Hennington,
beat.
Right. I honestly thought he was, at that time, I would say, as far as I was concerned, he was the best driver in this northern Minnesota on dirt.
Okay. What all tracks did you race at?
I raced at Grand Rapids, of course, my home track, Hibbing, and Bemidji quite a bit. I did go up to the Queen's race two times in Thunder Bay.
Okay.
A race down to Brainerd, I think two different times, and Princeton one time.
Okay, so you did a little bit of traveling.
Yeah, we did a little bit.
Yeah, but more than most.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, this concludes part 1 of our interview with Wally Fox from Hill City. Please stay tuned to part 2.